Hey YouTube fam, what's up? It's Francina Simone, and I am here to talk about consumerism and Booktube. So from the title, you guys know that I have like over 392 books, and that's pretty much on that shelf behind me. That's not counting my husband's books or my kids' books, so I have over 400 physical books. This is also not counting like digital Kindle. I'm not even gonna look at that because I'd be counting for days. So I want to talk about it on the other side. I believe Cindy, I cannot remember what her channel name is, but I'm linking it down below. But Cindy, she's hilarious. She's funny. I love her channel. She made a video that you probably have seen because it's pretty popular, and it's called Consumerism and Booktube, Why I Only Have like 4 Books. And I mean, I was laughing throughout the whole fucking thing. And I totally get her because I lived like that for a while. When it comes to books, very minimalistic when I lived in Japan because I had moved from across the states, and you can't take a bunch of shit with you when you get on a plane. And I knew that that was a temporary kind of living situation. I wasn't going to live in Japan forever, and I definitely wasn't going to live where I lived in Japan for forever. So I didn't accumulate a lot of stuff. In fact, when it came to books, I think that's how I got most of the digital books that I did, because I couldn't use the library, obviously. At least it wasn't as lovely as it is now, or at least I wasn't aware of, kind of still using your library card even if you're in another country. I wasn't aware of being able to do that like on overdrive back then. I don't even think it was that extensive. So when I was in Japan, very minimalistic. So I was totally vibing with what she said, except I did buy like quite a bit of manga, but I'm going to get into all of that in this video. I just kind of want to talk about it from the other perspective of being someone who has a shit ton of fucking books. So I want to start off with a little bit of background, not of my entire life, like y'all need to know all of that, but I'm going to talk to you about what it was like for me growing up with books, how many books I had, when I started like accumulating a lot of books, etc. When I was a small child, like maybe 12, I said small, but when I was like 12, that's when I really got my first library card, and I went fucking ham over the summers with books. That's also in maybe maybe it was like 14 actually, because this was around 8th grade when I joined a summer reading program. No. It was a after school program for books. It was like a decathlon. We went to like this whole summit. We read and had challenges and won books and all sorts of fun shit. Anyways, one of the main things then for me was I used the library an awful lot. I used my school library a ton and Anchorage charges. I used my city library, which I was in Orlando, so the city library was huge because I used the one downtown. And it was a haven. My mom used to take me there over the summer because she was studying for like business, or I don't know what the fuck she was doing, but she was doing it somewhere upstairs. And I would live in the like children's section at the library. It was huge. We had all sorts of activities. I even, as I got older, did a volunteering program there where we did a lot of fun stuff with kids. So I literally lived in that library for a summer. I checked out so many fucking books, and I would read every single book, whether I liked it or not, before I, returned it and checked it back. And as soon as I was returning books, I was checking out a whole, fucking list long of new ones. And I just go to the shelves, pick up something that looked interesting, read the blurb, and then decided, okay, I'm going to try it. And so I read all sorts of different genres, except for horror. A bitch just does not like to be scared. But I read contemporaries, fantasies, sometimes science fiction. It was usually contemporaries and fantasies, humorous books, kind of like thrillers. Like I was reading the Sammy Keys series. That's kind of thriller-esque. It's like a mystery. Let's be real. It's a real mystery that's not really all that thrillery. I read a ton of stuff. I did not buy a lot of books when I was a kid, because it just wasn't something that my family bought a lot of. And that's not to say that my family didn't care about books. Like every report card, my grandmother would take me and my cousins to the bookstore, and we'd get like a book or two, if we got like a lot of A's, and that was great. She also pre-ordered all of the Harry Potters for us around, I think when about the 3rd one came out. That's when we were like, oh my god, because I was in the 5th grade when Harry Potter, the first book, was like was gaining traction because we read it in school, and I was like so down for it. She started pre-ordering them. We'd go the next day, get our Harry Potter book. It was great. We'd all be in the car reading. So for me, growing up until I was about 16, 17, I did not really buy books. I started buying them, essentially whenever someone would take me to a bookstore, I'd be like, oh yeah, I'd love to get a book. And that was it. But also as a kid, I didn't ask for a lot of things when it came to material things. When people wanted to know what to get me, I was just like, you could just take me to the bookstore, or, lunch. I like take me out to eat somewhere nice and make me feel pretty. So like I didn't have a whole lot. I think I had the Pendragon series and that was about it, and Harry Potter physically, right? Everything else I would just, again, get from the library. And I think when I got about 19, that's when I moved across the country and I started going to university. And so let me actually backtrack a little bit. I graduated from high school when like the fucking recession started. So there were no part-time jobs for teens. You were going to college and you couldn't go to work because there was no work. All the 50-year-old people were out delivering pizzas. You know, everybody who like was working at the fucking like firm somewhere down the street was also flipping fries at fucking McDonald's. So there were like no jobs for anybody who didn't have like tens of years of experience in accounting. Like, you could not find a lot of work. So I didn't have a lot of money I was working with either. So for a side note, for all of you who are young, because I know I have teen viewers, don't feel fucking bad when you can't buy books. Don't feel fucking bad when you can't buy anything. You're a fucking teen. Like, most of us when we're teens can't buy shit, okay? And the ones who can, yay for them. I'm so happy that you can buy shit, but that's not normal and it's not usual, because usually to become financially independent, you have to work. And when you are working, that means you're probably also responsible for a lot of other stuff, unless you're lucky enough to be able to work and live at home and not have to like pay for other stuff. And that is a real cush kind of way to live. So if you can stand your parents and stand living at home while you making that cash, do it, sis. Do it. Don't go out being like, I'm gonna live on my own and pay all my own bills. Bitch! Sit your ass at home, save your money, or spend your money, live nice, live cush, and just ignore your motherfucking mama or whoever the fuck you gotta live with. Just ignore them. Just like, you know, just do what you gotta do. But unless it's toxic. If it's toxic, go ahead and do you, boo-boo. You can get roommates or some shit. Go out and do your life. I'm not trying to tell people how to live their life. I'm just saying, financially, it's really nice when you can live at home. And your parents don't drive you fucking insane, or whoever the fuck you would live with. So back to this moving forward, when I moved out and I went to college like halfway across the country, I finally did get a job working at a Radio Shack. The fucking shack where all of the fucking creepers talk about fucking creepers all the time coming into stores. I mean, it was a fucking mess. But nonetheless, when I finally got that job, I would actually start buying books. We had a used bookstore. It was called Hastings up here, but they've gone out of business over in the West. And they had a lot of used books, new books. It was a great like culture-esque kind of store, like pop culture store. And they used to have this sale, 5 for $25. You get 5 used books for $25. So this bitch was always there buying books. I mean, like anytime it's my birthday or anything, I'd just be like, just give me money. My husband, I remember he was my boyfriend at the time. He just for Christmas was like, here's $150. And I'm pretty sure he gave it to me early because they were doing the 5 for $25 at Hastings. And he knew that that was all I wanted. Like, I'm a simple bitch. I don't want anything. I just want books. I just want things that I think are pretty and I want to buy them. So boom. So that was how I think back then I was reading an awful lot. And that's when I knew I wanted to write. And so I was reading a lot, and I was reading a lot of young adult. I was getting back into reading, and I was buying a lot of books. I was stacking them up. This is kind of when it started for me, buying more books than I was actually reading. And I used to feel a little guilty about it, and I'll tell you why I don't anymore in just a second. But just on the timeline spectrum, like 4 years doing that, I occurred over like 200 and something books. I used to keep track of them, and then I moved to Japan. So I got rid of all of those books, and I only kept the ones that were really special to me. And I still have a few of those in my shelf. But when I moved to Japan, obviously I'm not keeping a lot of books. That's when I started reading in digital. This is around 2012. So this was when kind of like a new wave of YA came in. So I missed a lot of like hype starting for like things like Shatter Me, Throne of Glass, the Shadow and Bone, the Grisha trilogy. I think that's Shadow and Bone, Daughter of Smoke and Bone, like Laini Taylor. When all of these people like started really like starting their career in YA, I kind of missed that wave, and I got like a little trickle of it when I would just buy stuff off of Amazon on Kindle, and I was like, ooh, I like these books. So I was starting to read again, yet again. But I wasn't buying books. Now, fast forward, I leave Japan, I come back here, and I've got like almost 400 books. And it's been maybe like 2 years, 3 years now, almost 4. And I want to say that, you know, now I have a shit ton of fucking books because I can afford to buy them. I like them. Hell, sometimes if I'm having a bad fucking day, I'll like go to the bookstore and just buy a fucking book. Like, it makes me feel happy. And I know that it's a way of me feeling my dark soul with just another pretty thing. But the thing is I love books for the way that they look. I don't have to read the books on my shelves to feel good. I used to feel a little guilty about it because I used to feel the outside pressure of, if you have books, you should be reading them. You shouldn't have a ton of unread books. And I didn't understand why it didn't bother me, but I also felt guilty. And I realized now it was kind of outside pressure, and not outside meaning other people were telling me you didn't even read those books, but outside, like societal. Like I have this idea that buying things or hoarding or being materialistic is wrong. And for me, bitch, it ain't wrong. If you want to be materialistic, as long as you ain't hurt nobody, as long as you ain't going bankrupt or forcing other people to be bankrupt so you can be materialistic and hoard shit, then do you, boo-boo. As long as your house don't catch on fire and you die under all them books and you force other people to die under your fucking hoard of books, do you, boo-boo. Like, it ain't that big of a deal. And for me, the reason why I say all of this is because I also used to, in college, I took a book arts class where we learned about the production of books and loving, like, the art of a book, not necessarily the content in it. Like, if you go to the Barnes & Noble, the cover art's nice, the hardback, they're all the same for the most part, and it's the content that you're supposed to love. But in this book art class, it explored the creation of the book, where the book itself is the art. And I think actually the professor I had died in the middle of that. So insensitive. I was doing really poorly in the class for like very logistical reasons, but I loved the concept of it and a lot of the stuff that we were learning. Glad to say I passed with an A. But one thing that I took away from that entire class was the art of the actual book itself. And that's always stayed with me. And so let's take a gander over to the bookshelf. So for me, like, shit like this. I love the cover of this book. So what is the difference between me showcasing this on my shelf, which I do realize I only have 2 shelves right now, and I'm getting more, so, like, it's a fucking mess. Don't judge me. But what's the difference of me showcasing that in my home versus a picture on a fucking wall? To be honest, this book probably costs less than if I were to ask the artist to make me a print of it. Having my walls lined with shelves that have beautiful different kind of art covers and prints, that fills me with joy. Also, the idea of a fucking story is what fills me with joy. And when I say that, I'm talking about the potential that a story has. Have you ever picked up a book and thought, oh my God, this has the potential to be fucking amazing? Like, you read the blurb and you're pretty sure that you're gonna love this fucking story. But then you read it and it's not the same thing that you thought it was, and it doesn't quite live up to it. And it's not for the fault of the story, it was just your expectations. Like, I live in that all the time. But at the same time, I love the potential of stories. I love looking at my shelf and thinking about a book that I really want to read and pick up and thinking of the potential of the adventure that I can go on. I know that sounds almost crazy and wasteful to some people. And bitch, it can. Bitch, do you. If you think that that is a waste of life and a waste of time and a waste of money, bitch, don't do what I do. But what I'm saying is it fits for me. I love that. I love looking at my shelves and thinking about the possibilities of adventures that I can go on. But I also recognize that I'm a creator, and the possibilities and the adventure that I could go on is essentially like me stirring the pot on something that I'm possibly going to be creating soon, and I just haven't realized it. So I'm like looking for it on the shelf, but it doesn't yet exist because it's in my head. So for me, it's almost like inspiration. And that's what works for me as a creator. So I guess what I'm saying is I have 392 books because I like to hoard fucking books, and it's cool. And if that's what you like to do, it's cool. If you can afford to do it, cool. If not, use the fucking library. I still use the library. I think I have 11 books on my shelf now that are from the library. Don't fucking like not use the library, especially if you're in America. I don't know about other countries. I'm not going to pretend to know about other countries or give advice for if you live in other countries. But if you love just reading the content of a book, just read the content of a book and then give it away if that's what you want to do. If you want to keep those books, if you want to keep books that you know you're never going to read, keep them. If it brings you such a mounting guilt that you have books on your shelf that you know you haven't read, get rid of the fucking book. If you have to eat top ramen for 5 days in a row just to be able to afford a book, reprioritize some things in your life. You don't have to have hardbacks. You don't have to have, fresh new paperbacks. You can get a used fucking book. You can get discount books. If you can't afford to support your favorite author because her books or his books are $25 fucking dollars a pop, but you can go and get them used for $10, go and get the book fucking used for $10. Just enjoy your motherfucking life. It is too short to be worried about what other people are consuming and how they're consuming it. Do you, boo? And I'ma do me, and we will all have fun. I have to just shout out Cindy one more time because her channel is so fucking funny. So do please click the link down below and watch her video. The message is pretty much the same. Do what you fucking enjoy. Don't go broke doing it, or don't, like, I don't know, live a life of nothingness because you're scared of other people thinking about what you do. Now with that, guys, I'm gonna jet. Let me know down below, how do you treat buying, purchasing, keeping books? Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Please forgive me for the mess that is my desk. And guys, I will talk to you later. T2IL, ta for now. Bye.